The day I found out my sister was sleeping with my husband, my entire world shattered. You always think betrayal like that happens to other people, until it happens to you. I thought I had a solid marriage, a loyal husband, and a sister I could trust with my life. Then, in an instant, everything flipped upside down. It didn't start with a dramatic scene. It was smaller, suspicion creeping in, little things I tried to ignore. But when the truth finally hit me, it was brutal. I remember staring at the evidence, my hands shaking, my chest tight, feeling like I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just my husband betraying me. It was my sister, the one person who was supposed to protect me. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 32 years old, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had the kind of life people envied. I live in Austin, Texas, in a quiet suburban neighborhood with tree-lined streets and kids playing outside until the streetlights come on. It wasn't a mansion or anything, just a cozy two-story house with a white fence and a little garden out front that I was way too proud of. It was home. It was supposed to be our forever home. I met David, my husband, when I was 25. He was working in IT at the company where I was a project coordinator, and I swear, from the very first week, people kept nudging me like, "He's into you." I laughed it off until he finally asked me to grab a drink after work. We clicked instantly. David was funny, smart, reliable, the kind of guy who always kept his promises. At least, that's what I thought. We dated for 2 years before getting married, a small wedding in San Antonio with just family and a few close friends. For the first few years, everything really was good. I felt safe, loved, and certain I'd picked the right partner. And then there was Emily, my younger sister. She's 28 now, just 4 years younger than me. But growing up, she always felt like my shadow. We were close as kids, even though we fought like all sisters do. When our parents divorced, I kind of stepped up as the older protector, and I always felt like Emily leaned on me. She moved to Austin about a year ago after breaking off a long-term relationship. I was actually the one who encouraged her to come. She was struggling financially, and I thought having her nearby would help her reset. At first, it was nice, Sunday brunches, movie nights, shopping trips. David got along with her too, maybe a little too well in hindsight, but at the time I thought nothing of it. To anyone on the outside looking in, I had it all: a stable job, a loving husband, a sister nearby, and a beautiful home. Life was comfortable, predictable. I never imagined that comfort would be the calm before the storm. Because the thing about betrayal is that it doesn't announce itself. It creeps in quietly, wearing the mask of ordinary days, until one day the mask slips, and your whole life looks unrecognizable. The first time I noticed something weird, it was so small, I almost laughed it off. Emily had come over for dinner, like she usually did on Fridays. We'd ordered takeout from this little Thai place down the street, and while I was in the kitchen grabbing drinks, I heard her and David laughing in the living room. Not just laughing, the kind of deep, inside joke laughter you usually only hear between people who share something private. When I walked back in, they both went quiet a little too quickly. It was subtle, but my stomach tightened. Did I miss the joke? I asked, forcing a smile. Emily just shrugged, and David mumbled something about a stupid meme he'd seen. I didn't push it, but it stuck in my head. After that, I started noticing other little things. Emily would linger in the kitchen when David was cleaning up after dinner, talking to him while I was in the other room. Or they'd exchange looks when I brought up something I was stressed about, like they had some secret agreement I wasn't in on. Once, we were at a family barbecue, and I swear I saw David's hand brush against Emily's lower back when he walked past her. It wasn't obvious. It could have been innocent, but my brain filed it away like a sticky note I couldn't throw out. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. That's what we're trained to believe, right? That if a man and woman laugh together, it's innocent. That if your sister and your husband are friendly, it should be a good thing. But there was a tone to their conversations, a closeness I couldn't quite explain away. And the worst part? Emily started showing up more often when David was home than when he wasn't. At first, I thought it was just coincidence. But when I realized she barely ever stopped by when I was alone, it started to feel like maybe she wasn't coming for me at all. Still, I pushed the thoughts down. I told myself, Sarah, you're imagining things. They're family. Don't be ridiculous. But deep down, in a place I didn't want to admit even existed, I felt the first crack forming. David would get texts late at night, smile at his phone, and when I asked, he'd say it was work. Emily, meanwhile, suddenly stopped talking about her own dating life, something she'd always overshared with me. One afternoon, I came home early and found them in the kitchen. Nothing inappropriate, but the way they jumped apart when I walked in made my skin crawl. Emily's face flushed bright red, and David mumbled something about just talking. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my gut screaming at me. It wasn't just paranoia anymore. The closeness between them felt wrong, too familiar. I wanted to believe I was overthinking, but deep down I knew I wasn't. The slip-up came on a random Tuesday night. David had left his phone on the counter while he showered. Normally, I never snooped, but the screen lit up with a message from Emily. It wasn't anything outright dirty, just, "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about it." My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, my hands ice cold. A million thoughts rushed through me. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe she meant someone else. Maybe, but the way she used his name in the line right after erased every doubt. I put the phone back exactly where it was and sat at the kitchen table in silence, my ears ringing. When David came out, towel around his waist, he smiled at me like nothing had changed. I smiled back, but inside, everything had. After that text, I couldn't unsee things. Every glance between them, every laugh, it all looked different. I started watching more closely, checking phone bills, scrolling through call logs when David left his phone unattended. Her name popped up constantly, sometimes late at night, sometimes in the middle of the workday when she had no reason to be calling him. I even drove by his office one afternoon when he said he was working late. His car wasn't there, but Emily's was parked 2 blocks away. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I wanted proof, something undeniable. Because as much as my gut screamed, part of me still hoped I was wrong. But I wasn't. It happened on a Saturday. David told me he was going into the office for a few hours. Emily said she had plans with friends. Something in me snapped that morning. I just didn't buy it. So, I got in my car and drove to her apartment. Her car wasn't there. My stomach flipped. I drove back home, and sure enough, David's car was in the driveway. When I walked inside, the house was too quiet. I called his name, no answer. Then I heard it, a muffled laugh upstairs. A woman's laugh I knew better than my own. I climbed the stairs, my legs shaking so hard I thought I'd fall. I pushed open the bedroom door, and there they were. My husband, my sister, in my bed. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Emily screamed, yanking the sheets up, and David just froze, his face drained of all color. That was the moment my marriage and my family died. I lost it. The second my brain caught up with what my eyes were seeing, the words just poured out of me. I screamed so loud my throat burned. I don't even remember exactly what I said. It was everything at once. How could you? With her? In our house? David scrambled off the bed, stammering, "Sarah, wait, please. It's not what it looks like." Not what it looks like. Those were the words he chose while standing naked beside my sister. Emily tried to speak, tears in her eyes, but I cut her off with a scream that didn't even sound human. "Shut up. Don't you dare say a word." I was shaking so hard I thought my knees would give out. I grabbed the lamp on my nightstand and hurled it against the wall, just to break something, just to match the way I felt inside. David reached for me, and I shoved him back so hard he nearly fell. "Don't touch me. Don't you ever touch me again." Emily sat there crying, wrapped in the sheet, whispering my name, begging me to listen. I couldn't. The betrayal was too big, too raw. I stormed out of the room, slammed the door, and for the first time in 7 years, I locked him out of my life. I didn't sleep that night. I packed a bag, grabbed my car keys, and drove to my best friend's apartment across town. David called me 15 times. Emily texted nonstop. I didn't answer either of them. By the next morning, my parents already knew. Emily must have called my mom in tears, trying to spin the story before I could. When I finally picked up the phone, my mom was sobbing, asking how this could happen. My dad was furious, saying he didn't want to see either David or Emily ever again. It was like a bomb had gone off in my family. My mom wanted me to try to forgive. My dad wanted me to file for divorce immediately. Friends started taking sides. Some told me to cut them both off forever. Others tried to soften it by saying people make mistakes. Meanwhile, David kept begging me to talk. He showed up at my job once, eyes red, promising it was just a stupid mistake. But it wasn't just once. It had been going on for months. I knew that now. And Emily, she texted me this pathetic apology about how she never meant for it to happen. I didn't respond. I couldn't. She wasn't just my sister anymore. She was a stranger who'd burned every bridge between us. The fallout wasn't just losing a husband. It was losing my sister, my family's peace, my trust in people. Everything shattered in one night, and I was left standing in the wreckage. It's been months since that night, and sometimes it still feels unreal, like I'm living in someone else's nightmare. I wake up in an empty bed, and the silence feels heavier than the betrayal itself. The divorce papers are filed. David tried to fight it at first, but there's no coming back from what he did. As for Emily, I haven't spoken a single word to her since that night. She's reached out, calls, emails, even letters, but I can't bring myself to read them. She didn't just take my husband. She took my trust, my family, my sense of safety. I've started therapy. I've started journaling, going on long walks, forcing myself to eat when I don't want to. Healing isn't pretty. It's not inspirational Instagram quotes and bubble baths. It's crying in your car, staring at receipts you wish you'd never found, and trying to remember who you were before the world fell apart. But here's what I've learned. I survived. I'm still standing. I lost a husband. I lost a sister. But I didn't lose myself, not completely. And every day, I'm finding a little more of that woman again. If there's one thing I know for sure, it's this. The truth will always come out, no matter how deep someone tries to bury it. And when it does, it may destroy everything, but sometimes destruction is the only way to start over. That's it for today's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily threads, and drop a comment to let me know your thoughts. See you in the next one.